Hello, good evening. Welcome back to Over and Over and Over Again. My name's Richard. This is, I suppose you could call this maybe the first show of the new season. Technically, it's kind of a bit in between the two, isn't it? But what we're going to look at tonight is we're going to look at, obviously, the first week of the transfer window. We've bought some players, one or two maybe going out. We'll look at a few potential signings as well that may happen over the next couple of weeks or so. Also, as well, of course, the fixtures, they were out yesterday, weren't they? So we'll have a look through the fixture list. I know things will change because of TV and stuff like that, but we'll have a little look at that, see what we think of that. I've got some guests joining me coming up the other side of this. So, how are you doing? Good evening. We've got got a couple of guests with us tonight for this show. Looking back, I say the first week of the transfer window. It's been quite a busy week, quite an exciting week. Lots going on. Joining us, of course, is Adam. How you doing, Adam? You all right?
All good, mate. All good. Good to be back. Been missed it. Been a few weeks not doing these. Been missing it. So it'll be good to get talking about Arsenal again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we've had a couple of weeks off to recharge our batteries and look forward to the new season. And Steve, of course, as well. You okay tonight, Steve?
Mate, living the dream on the over and over and over and over and over and over again network, mate. Absolutely over the moon to be back. So glad to be just be talking about a bit of football that's not international, talking about the club that we love.
Exactly. What better way to spend a Friday evening? You know, especially it's been quite a good week. Obviously, you two guys are going to be becoming more involved in the channel as we move into the new season, which is good. You know, you're both going to be hosting some shows along with Melvin as well. So looking forward to some different stuff on the channel kind of going forward as well next season. Just, you know, mix things up a bit. It's going to be good stuff. So looking forward to that. But obviously tonight, actually, we've got a comment in already there from Snubby. Hello, how you doing, mate? Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Hope you're going to enjoy our little chat. Now, obviously, the transfer window, it's a funny time, isn't it? Especially this early on. Not a lot normally happens, but we've got a couple of players in. So why don't we start maybe looking at them? Now, my slight concern is, you know, two potentially good signings, I've got to be honest. But again, similar to last summer, young players, very little top-level experience, and players potentially for the future as opposed to improving the team right now. And yes, it's very early, and I'm sure we'll make some more experienced signings as well. It just concerns me slightly that seems to be the route we're going down already again when we went down that route last year, which maybe cost us a little bit later on in the season. I mean, Adam, the two signings look potentially good players for the future, possibly. I mean, I think certainly Fabio Vieira could be ready for a place in the first team squad straight away, whereas I feel the Brazilian lad may be perhaps a Europa League player to start with. But again, it's that kind of profile, isn't it? Young players, inexperienced players, which could potentially be good, but is that really where we should be looking at spending money? I mean, 35, 40 million could be on Vieira. A lot of money, really, isn't it, for a player that may not really be exactly what we need straight away?
Yeah, I mean, it come out of the blue a little bit, the Vieira one. Obviously, we'd heard about Marquinhos for a few weeks, but the Vieira one kind of come out of the blue. And I'm not going to pretend I know much about him. You know, I knew the name, obviously, Vieira, but I did know that there was a player at Porto. I lived in Portugal for a couple of years, so I still kind of follow the Portuguese leagues a bit, right? Not religiously. So I knew that they had a player there, but I didn't know we were sniffing around him at all. Obviously, last 24 hours, I've done a lot more digging and a lot more looking at him, and he looks a good player. He looks like a very attack-minded, creative midfielder. But do we need one of those?
Exactly,
is the first thing I'll say is like he looks good. You know, he can give the assist by the look of it. He can score goals. He's fast. He can use both feet. He can play in a number of positions. Versatility. But we've got players like that already. You know, so it's like you said, it's like maybe they've seen a player that they needed to move for him now. Maybe it's someone that they were looking at, and if they didn't get in now, we would have missed out on it. That's the only thing I can kind of think of, the fact that they had their eye on him. Maybe there was some other clubs sniffing around, and it was a case of, right, if we want him, we've got to do it now. Maybe he's not what we kind of need now, but we still want him. So for me, it kind of thinking, well, if he's coming in, who's potentially going to be going out, because he's got to take. Because I do think he will be a. You're not going to spend 35, 40 million on a player and not play him. He's going to be in that squad. He's going to be in and around the first team. So we've got to have our eyes already on players outgoings. We'll probably talk about that a bit later. But I think that, I was surprised. I think it's quite a positive signing. But it's clear that Arteta's got this profile of player. I mean, we saw it last transfer window, last summer, and it's carried on already from the start of this summer, So it's clear that he's got this kind of profile. He has kind of rid the players, got rid of the older players, got rid of the unsavoury characters, let's say, or we're led to believe. And he's looking for young players who we're led to believe have got the right attitude. And I think who we can kind of mould and kind of fit straight into that, because the team spirit looks pretty good with the youngsters. So I think he wants players with the same kind of mentality who can kind of come in and grow with that. Some people might say it's because, again, Arteta's not good at managing the bigger names, maybe. That's definitely an argument, that he's adding fuel to that fire, if I'm honest with you, that kind of player. It would be interesting if we do sign, other players that we're linked with, because they are more higher profile. But at the moment, he's kind of playing it safe with those younger, hungry, up-and-coming players. It surprised me a little bit because I hadn't heard any rumours. But it quite often goes like that, doesn't it? The transfers, a lot of time, Arsenal just come out of the blue. You just hear about it within 24 hours and it's done. And I kind of quite like that, because then you don't get the kind of months and months of being linked and then nothing ever happening. So I quite like a transfer coming out of the blue when all of a sudden everyone's pretending to be an expert on him. They're not. No one heard of him. Let's be honest. No one knows much about him. I've watched a few YouTube clips. I've read up some reports on the local Portuguese, sites, and he's very well thought of, especially, from the national team in the future. I think that he hasn't played for the national team yet, but he's been one of the stars in the under-21s. So and he's very highly thought of. But we will see. Yeah, I would have maybe liked to have got a more established player who can go straight into the first team, as being one of the first signings to kick us off. But we've got who we've got, and I'm not that disappointed yet. So.
No. I mean, they've not played it, have they? So we can't be disappointed, can we?
No, exactly.
We'll play a few games and we'll decide then. I mean, he has scored, I think, 13 goals in 21 under-21 games for Portugal. So, that's a good, for a midfield player, an attacking midfield player, that's a decent return. I know.
Apparently he takes free kicks and penalties as well. He does.
Yeah, he does. And I mean, Eddie Nketiah is the highest ever scorer for the England 21. So it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to end up becoming a fantastic, player when they get to the senior side. But, we'll see what happens. I agree with you. I'm not too disappointed with the signings. As a starting point, if these were the only two we ended up with, I'll be a little bit upset, a little bit worried about the season, but I'm sure it won't be. I mean, Steve, what have you made of it so far? I mean, these two young players, I mean, I don't know too much about them. No one seems to know that much. It's one of these, Edu, he seems to have got the Portuguese and Brazilian market sort of sorted out. He doesn't seem to do much else anywhere else in the world, but so far, not a bad start to the window, really, is it? Considering
as long as he's not bringing Pele back, then I'm happy. I'm happy. So
well, I don't know, he might do a good job,
Yeah. Who knows? Yeah, but no. So look at there's a couple of things actually. We need to remember that obviously Emil Smith-Rowe plays in the under-21s right now at this moment in time, and there's no way we wouldn't drop him out of our team. Now I've looked at Vieira and I've looked at some of his stats, and I love. I'm with you, Adam, mate. I absolutely love the fact that this kid has come out of nowhere. Absolutely come out of nowhere. It's another one where everyone's like, and if we look at Tottenham's purchases, let's say, and I didn't want to say that on here, but I'm going to say, if we were to have brought someone like Pulisic and not Pulisic,
Perisic.
Yeah, Perisic. I know Rich would be fucking jumping up and down and actually losing it, So I am absolutely over the moon about it. And the reason I say that is that look at the statistics of this guy, and I know it's Portuguese football. I'm not denigrating Portuguese football, and it's not quite as quick as the Premiership. But his stats are absolutely out of this world. He plays right-hand side, left-footed player. So who's he going to back up? It's going to be Bukayo Saka. He's going to back him up. So when I see this purchase coming on, we know full well Pepe's on his way out, and that's to me it's a real shame, right? Because I honestly wanted him to do well, but ultimately, Rich. You and I saw him fall over when he stood on the ball at Newcastle. So, and
not for the first time, Steve. Either not for the first
I
time.
know, mate. I shan't go into the expletives and what we were saying and how aggressive it was at this moment in time. And I feel ashamed as a grown man to have said the sort of things that I did. So, if we take that on board, so let's take a step back, have a look at that. We're going to get rid of Pepe. He's out the door, whatever that happens to be. This kid's coming in. He's going to look after our number one kid, which is Bukayo Saka, who's still young. I think is an absolutely out of this world buy. Now I'm hoping that, of course, we've got to give him some time to adapt to the Premiership. But we've got five subs. So when we're seeing Bukayo's getting the living daylights kicked out of him. Absolutely, bring this guy on, and some of his tackling. I've watched, of course, when I first looked, literally, I saw it come up on Twitter. I first thought nobody had any videos. Welcome to Arsenal and all that old nonsense videos. Within 15, 20 minutes, the whole thing was like, there's hundreds of them. But his tackling looks brilliant. His finishing looks really good. Thank God somebody can finally hit the ball properly other than Odegaard. He can play across the midfield. So for me, I'm seeing him back up for Bukayo Saka. There's something we haven't talked about on this podcast before, back up for Odegaard as well. So being able to actually come in, rotate, we're going to need that depth in squad. We're going to need that in the story.
Yeah. But also, if you see, there's a few good videos of him obviously going around. The goals he scores with both feet and his head. So he literally can score all three different kinds of goals. He's very two-footed. He's only, I think, 5'6", 5'7", but he has got a good leap on him. He's scored a few headed goals for the under-21s. I think that he looks a good player. He really does.
Love it. Mate, absolutely take that on board. But you got to look at it. You got to. I love it. I love the fact that they've been watching him because, of course, we spent all that money on the analytics business, didn't we? So there's that whole analytics business we spent all that money on. So they're looking at the stats. Have a look at some of the stats they've been tweeting out on him. And I know again. We need to be careful. I don't want to get carried away. I don't want Rich having to go at me. I know how it's going to go. But the stats, him and De Bruyne, the stats on there. Yeah, I know. I can't. Please turn the comments off. But some of the stats between him and De Bruyne and what they're doing very similar in the way that they play. And so if we can get a player that's going to be creative, give us that same flair, rather than lump it up to Bukayo all the time. Oh man, I'm over the moon. I'm over the moon. I'm not interested in taking a goalie that's out of contract. I'm not interested in taking somebody that's got 2 years left on his contract to play in the midfield because that's all they can kind of bring in and all of this 150 million. I'm not hearing any of the usual nonsense from the usual Gary Nevilles of this world about, the other lot, who play in the toilet. So I think it's a brilliant move. And the same with Marquinhos as well. And I've been watching this for quite a while coming in. That kid is another Gabby. He's another Gabby. He's absolutely annoyingly fast, annoying in the way that he tackles. And I'm telling you, we've got another gem there. And I take on board what you're saying, Rich, is that what we've got is a player there that is potentially for the future. Well, we said the same with Gabby. Now, I get upset when he drops, because of what he brings. And again, look at the Newcastle game when you and I were together, Rich. The difference about and Marquinhos is going to be just as good. I'm telling you, he's going to be just as good.
You do realise though, Steve, that I'll be clipping this, and obviously later on in the season, if it all goes Pete Tong, this will get played back a few times when you were saying how great these two players were.
Rich, I will buy you you good lady, and your kids a steak dinner, and I'm telling you, that's how confident I am. Right, that's how confident I am. In fact, I'm going to say Adam to. In fact, I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Adam to the Galaxy, the Star Wars Galaxy Hotel, right? For a week, and I'll pay for it in cash, right? And I'm telling you, these two are going to absolutely tear it up. They're going to tear it up.
Well, I hope you're right because obviously that's.
I hope you're right.
We want these two players to be fantastic signings.
Sure.
And I just don't want us to get too carried away yet because we've not seen them. We haven't seen anything of them. We've seen a few clips on YouTube. We've seen the stats, all this, that, and the other, and all of those things look good. But we've seen it before with players. Pepe looked good on YouTube, didn't he? Until we actually got him on the pitch. And then we realised that actually he wasn't quite as good as YouTube made him out to be. It's a bit like this channel, really. It's really good on YouTube, but in reality, it's not quite so much fun, is it? So,
this is it. This is the over and over again, network. What are you chatting about, man? Come on, let's be serious. Who was that player that we bought? South American one that we got for like £4, and everybody said he's the next hope. Oh God,
Wellington Silva.
No, not well. No, not that
Yeah, he's
bad.
another one, though, isn't he? He's one as well that didn't quite work out. We've had a few actually, haven't we, over the years that we've bought with big potential. No one had heard of them, and most of them just drifted off by the wayside. Martinelli obviously being the exception. What a fantastic talent he is, and let's hope that Marquinhos in particular is going to follow a similar path. And obviously, I think Vieira's slightly further down the route, isn't he? He's a little bit older. He's played a bit more in the European leagues and stuff like that. So we'll have to see. But yeah, I mean,
what do we think about now the news that Sao Paulo are going to be our feeder club, and Edu struck some sort of deal with Sao Paulo? What do we think of that?
I would rather we had a better club as our feeder club personally, but to be honest with you, I don't know too much about the Brazilian league. Brazilian footballers, the national team have always been fantastic. But how many
they're
of them
they're one of the more famous clubs over there. They're one of the more famous clubs, and they're one of the most,
They are. But what's the standard of the Brazilian Premier League? What's the standard of that like? I don't think it's fantastic, is it? Although Brazilian players tend to be really good technically. I mean, how many of them have really done well in the Premier League consistently? You could probably count on two hands.
That'd be one I would give. Gilberto Silva. I think he did quite well for us.
Yeah, Gilberto Silva. I mean, there has been a few. I think David Luiz has been a great player in the Premier League over a number of years, hasn't he? He's had a great career.
He did quite well.
Janine
was all right. Eddie was all right.
There's been a few.
Willie ain't done all right before he comes to us.
Yeah. I mean, there's been a few, but it's not maybe that market hasn't been tapped as much as it's probably likely to be now. If that's going to be the case, we'll have to see. Obviously, Martinelli's
also trying to tap up that market.
I mean, Martinelli's kind of given us. If we're going to get a few more players like Martinelli coming through, we're going to be over the moon, aren't we? And let's hope that's going to be the case. But we'll have to. I just want to just take a little step back with these two for now. Let's get them in. Let's get them out there in the team. Let's get them playing games. Let's see how they get on. See how they settle in. They should settle in quite quickly. We've got Brazilians in the dressing room. Obviously, they speak Portuguese, so I think Vieira's going to be okay in that side of it as well. So, but let's hope they settle in quickly and can have an impact. But I think we do need to maybe look at the fact that we do need some more experience as well. We've got a few more comments that's come in as well. Snubby says, everyone's enjoying the sunshine. It hasn't been sunny here actually. It's been cloudy and pretty miserable most of the day, so I've missed out on the nice weather unfortunately, but I'm glad everyone else has had a nice sunny day. James is in the chat. How are you doing, James? Good to see you, mate. Hope you're well. Steve says, hi guys, how's everyone? He says, buzzing for our incoming so far. We're all pretty happy with them so far. Shane says, hi, Richard, Adam and Steve. Hope you're well. Come on, you Gooners. Best of luck this season on the channel. Road to 1,000 subs won't be long coming. No, we're getting there. I want to see if we can get there before the season starts. James says, Vieira and Manquinos in, Pepe and Nelson out. Yeah, that probably likely to happen, isn't it? I think we'll talk about the players going out as well.
I think that's unfair on Nelson. Actually, I think that's unfair on Nelson, if I'm honest with you. I still think there's a player in there.
Yeah, there is, but is he likely to get much opportunities at Arsenal? That's the question. Probably not. I think he'll leave. He'll go somewhere else, and he may well have a good career. And good luck to him. But I'm not quite sure if he went out on loan again. Arteta doesn't seem to really fancy him, does he? And I'm not saying he's a bad player because he probably isn't, and I think he's got potential. But I'm not sure if he's got a future at Arsenal. That's with the players that we're buying. We seem to be buying players that play in a similar position. Why would we do that if he was going to be given game time next season? So that I kind of think that's probably where we're going with that. And Mark says, we well paid over the odds for Pepe. Yeah, we know we paid over the odds for Pepe. I mean, Jesus Christ, everybody would know that. That was, robbery.
Joel Campbell. That's the player.
Joel Campbell.
Joel Campbell.
He was Costa Rican, wasn't he?
Costa Rica. Everybody said that's it. Joel Campbell. And I remember he had a massive turn of pace on him, but it was totally useless.
Yeah, he had that little spell, didn't he? That little spell where he started about 6 or 7 games in the row and he looked all right, and then he just went completely.
He scored a couple of goals, didn't he? He scored a couple of goals in that run, didn't he?
He did. I remember, but he never quite. He just never quite made it there.
He never quite.
He played in the World Cup, didn't he? He played really well in the World Cup that year, and Costa Rica got to the quarterfinals. I think he played really well then. That's what. Then we got his chance back at Arsenal, but he was off the boil.
If we look at Nelson, right? So if we look at Reece Nelson, I think the biggest mistake he made was actually staying at Arsenal fighting for his place. I admire him for doing that because obviously he loves the club. I have no doubt that he loves the club. But I genuinely believe in there as a player. And if we look at squad depth and rotation and everything that's going on, and we're in Europa next season. I genuinely believe that in there is actually somebody. It's like Joe Willock, like it's like watching Joe Willock. I never quite felt like I always felt there's an amazing player in there, but never quite fitted into the system.
Yeah.
I just feel that with someone like Reece Nelson, that there is actually that there could potentially be a place in there when you're running, when you've got all these campaigns going, that you actually have a place for him. But I don't think Arteta feels the same. Like,
no, it doesn't.
that's why
it definitely doesn't. No, exactly. No, and that's the problem, isn't it? You can understand him wanting to go away to get more regular football. Mark says there, with these attack-focused midfielders, wingers coming in, I hope we're going to balance that with a CDM. I hope we're going to balance it with some more experience, if I'm totally honest. But we'll see what happens there. And Ryan's in the chat. How are you doing, Ryan? Good evening, mate. Hope you're well tonight. So they are the players kind of coming in. Actually, Mark's just put a comment there about Nelson. He says Nelson's an okay player, but he's been overtaken by others from Haley. No, he has. And obviously now with these new signings, it looked like he's going to be overtaken by players that we just spent some money on, you'd imagine. So I think that his days are numbered, and unfortunately it looks like he'll have to move elsewhere to move his career on. And I say good luck to him, because I think he's an all right player. I agree, and I think he can do a job somewhere, but maybe not quite with us as things stand at the moment. And that's just unfortunately sometimes the way it is with some of the young players, isn't it? Now we've got obviously 2 players already signed. Well, the Vieira one, let's be honest, hasn't actually gone through officially yet, but Porter basically said that they've sold him to us, so we can assume that has been done. We know Marquinhos has been signed, sealed and delivered, but there's a few others that are kind of in the bubbling that away at the minute that we think may well be happening in the next week or a couple of weeks. So let's have a look at some of those. Obviously, the 2 either side of that picture, Tielemans and Gabriel Jesus, seem to be the most likely of the more experienced Premier League players that we're going to be targeting. And I would be amazed if at least one of those doesn't join us this summer. Which one it will be, maybe both of them. But I personally think both of those would be great signs. If we get them both, that to me would be a really good window for us, because we need I'm not saying that's all we need, but if we got those 2, that would be a great sort of next step, really, wouldn't it? I think in terms of a striker, Gabriel Jesus wants to play regularly in the Premier League. Obviously, with them buying Haaland, he's not going to get much opportunities there. He's going to leave. He would be great for us because he's got experience in the Premier League. He can score goals. We know he can. The way he plays, obviously, Arteta knows him as well. That would be a great signing. And obviously, Tielemans would give us a little bit more dynamism in midfield, I think. He's got quality. He can score goals, and he can play possibly alongside Ødegaard in that kind of slightly more advanced role in front of Thomas Partey. So they'd both be really good signings for me if we can get them both over the line. Rafinha is another one that I understand we've got an interest in. I don't think we're probably going to get Rafinha. And now we've got Vieira. It's like, where would Rafinha fit in? He kind of plays in that similar position as well, doesn't he? So it would make me think, would we go down that route as well now, when we've just spent nearly £40 million on the young Portuguese guys? So we'll have to see what happens with that one. But certainly Jesus and Tielemans, I think. I mean, Adam, you must be pretty excited if we can get these 2 deals done, because I think that would improve our first 11 significantly, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've spoke about Tielemans for quite a while on the show before, because I really rate him. I remember when he first come on loan to Leicester, and he played brilliantly, and I couldn't believe that no one else was in the market at the time. I couldn't believe that we wouldn't have even made a move before he went to Leicester permanently. I think that it would be a good sign, because he's had now 3 years of Premier League experience, where he has, I think, been outstanding, and I think that he could be a really good foil for Partey. I think they could potentially work really, really well, and he could be that link that sometimes the midfield needs, because obviously that, I think the transitional part in the midfield has been something we lacked. Partey, when he come back from the AFCON, was doing it more and more. And I think if he's got someone like Tielemans, it could really help both of them out. One of them could get forward. They could both pass. I think the good thing I like about Tielemans is he's got the physical presence, but he's also got the creativity. He's also got that creativity. Some of the balls that he plays for Leicester, like 40, 50-yard diagonal balls to feet, he can spot a pass, not afraid to get stuck in, not afraid to tackle as well. As we've seen, he can score goals. For me, he's a top midfielder, and he's got that Premier League experience. And I think that it sounds like it's going to be done for about 25, 30 million. And I think for that kind of price, it's a steal, to be honest, if we can get him for that. And for me, I think he's the one I'm looking forward to the most if we can get him over the line. I think Gabriel Jesus would be a really astute signing. I think that the way he plays is perfect for the way we play. For the way that Arteta wants his strikers to play. He's mobile, he can operate along that front three, but he can also get that kind of 6-yard box goals as well. I remember when he first broke into the team at Man City, I think his debut was against Palace away. This is really random, I remember it. I think he scored two goals. I remember watching it thinking, this fella's class. Like, you know, we thought that he was going to get ahead of Aguero straight away, and obviously Aguero was just class and kept him out. But his stats have been great. If you look at Jesus' stats, considering that up until really the second half of the season, he's not really been a regular starter. He scores goals, and when he has been starting, he scores goals for fun. And I think that in that right team, like, he's never going to get in against, at the front of Haaland, is he? And if you were him now, you'd think, well, I need someone who's going to get me up there. I'm at that age now. He's still relatively young. Obviously, feels like he's been around forever. But I think he's only 24, 25?
25,
so yeah. So
like, Tielemans, actually. Him and Tielemans are both 25. So they're that's more the age now, I think, when you look at players about that sort of age, don't we, that are coming towards their peak as opposed to all these kids.
And that's why I think both of these could be really clever signings, really good signings. Can't believe more clubs are not in for them, I'm quite honest with you, but that's why I want to get these deals wrapped up quick, because it only takes another team's target to fall through, then they start sniffing around them. But from what I understand, both players are interested. The deals are there to be done, so let's get them done. And I think that if we sign those two, regardless of what else happens, I would class that as a successful window. You know, regardless of anything else comes in or goings, those two, I think, would definitely strengthen our first team. 100%.
Yeah, exactly. That would strengthen the first team, and that is what we've needed. I would, if they were the only two plus the two that we've got, I'd still feel there's a little bit short in depth. You know, when we have got the Europa League as well. You know, if Partey's injured, we still got that problem there.
Well, a lot of it will depend on
Jesus came in and got injured. Yeah, we've got a problem there. So it would still worry me in terms of depth, but certainly from the first 11 perspective, those two signings with the two younger lads would be great. I still don't think it's quite enough, and money's going to be the key, isn't it? I suppose. I mean, Steve, you would be just as excited, would you, by these two signings if we can get them done? I think they seem the most likely now, don't they, out of everybody?
Yeah, absolutely. Like would I love Rafinha? Oh God, of course I would. But I think that's a bit of agent nonsense that's going on. I genuinely believe Tielemans genuinely wants to come to us. Jesus has got that link with Arteta. The other one, of course, is we've got in the background that's bubbling around. Is it Aaron Hickey, whatever it is, the player? So that's back up. And your old favourite, Rich Tavares, is looking like he's out the door. So for me, there's two or three things that I think that come in. We've got Patino, like Charlie Patino, that's sitting there, and Aziz as well. So these are players that we can blood really early on, get them in like the sort of FA Cup, the early rounds of the FA Cup, and start actually being part of it. My question is on all of this, and so yeah, I'm 100%. I think Tielemans, his goal scoring capabilities is absolutely off the chart. Off that bloke can put a football, like anywhere. So absolutely threatening. For me, where does Xhaka fit in all of this? Because I think actually towards the end of the season, after we look at the opening season, the beginning of last season, not particularly well. He didn't do particularly well. Let's face it. Especially in Man City and the red card, he just didn't want to be there. But actually, he grew into the role. He grew into what he was doing. He actually became a real big, vital part of that team. So, do we keep Xhaka? Do we bring Tielemans in? How does that fit? From my perspective, but also from the squad depth and rotation, we've got to be bringing Patino in. We've got to be looking at Aziz, because I know they're young, I know they're inexperienced, but I genuinely believe that when you're in the middle of nowhere and you're playing some team in the Europa League, these are the guys that have a really great opportunity to put the Arsenal colours on and actually start to get some experience. I just think they're really good players. But for me, it's where does Xhaka fit? Because I still think, contrary to what everybody says, that there is a need for him right now until that transition comes in. But Tielemans and Jesus, yes, please, just sign them. Get it done. Let's stop messing around with this crap.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, these do seem to be the two main targets that we're going for. And if we don't get either of them, then that would be a real worry, wouldn't it? If we can't get the players we really want, and then we're going to be looking at our second, third, fourth options, and then that's a real problem. So let's hope that we can get these over the line and get them in, because they would be, they would probably be, when you think about it. I mean, I know we've signed Thomas Partey. He was a top player. He still is a top player. We signed Gabriel, who's been a really good signing, Tomiyasu. But since Arteta's been in charge, we haven't really signed a good quality Premier League player, have we? I don't think, from elsewhere in the Premier League. And these would be the first two kind of those signings. And I think that would be a good sign for the club, because I think we need to sign more players like that. I really do, because, one, they can settle straight into the Premier League because they're here already, which I think is a big bonus. And they do have that little bit more experience that is so needed in this group of players. We could see that towards the end of last season, where it went wrong was lack of experience and lack of depth in the squad. And yes, we know that's not going to be just enough for those two with the two youngsters. We do need more, but these to me would be two. I've not got too excited about most of the signings that we've made in the last few years. At the time that we made them, Thomas Partey is probably the one that stood out because we know how good he was, and that was an exciting signing. But other than that, there hasn't been too many. I mean, since Aubameyang, probably that was the last signing that really could get excited about. What a great player we've just bought. But getting these two in, they're both really, really good Premier League players that are going to improve the team. So to me, they would be really exciting signings, and slightly unusual for Arsenal to buy players like that, certainly in recent years. So I'd be really, really happy if we got them over the line. Actually,
but Rich, I'm personally fed up of hearing, we're just a retirement home for Man City and all that nonsense. So, I think Adam made an absolutely brilliant point. Go and have a look at the stats of Jesus.
He's 25. He's not an old player. He's 25.
Yeah, I know.
That's incredible.
Hand downs. All right. Listen, we would take the second team of Man City all bloody day long with it. They're absolutely amazing. The other guy as well that I think everybody's given a little bit of, not negative. Negativity is the wrong word, but we're kind of forgetting is Sambi Lokonga as well, because actually he's a good player. He's young. He's a good player. So do we loan him out? Do we bring him in? Yeah, I genuinely think that I agree with you, Rich. It's a change in direction from what we're doing. We're getting class and decent quality class. Internationals. So Jesus plays for Brazil. Tielemans is a Belgian regular. We've got some that they would be world-class sort of players that are coming into our team at a time, right? Yeah. Where we actually have the Emil Smith-Rowe of this world, Joe. And he's been injured. We all know he's been injured. You look at his performance at the beginning of the season to towards the end of the season. So we've got that. We've got like the likes of Sambi that's coming along. Can we do something to help that kid along? Because
I'll tell you what's going to happen with Lokonga. Lokonga will go on loan to Burnley with Vincent Kompany. Kompany had him as his captain at Anderlecht.
And that's fine.
And I think that's fine. This is me actually. I've not heard this anywhere. But I was chatting. I was away last night at work, and I was chatting to my mate who's a Burnley fan, and I said to him last night, like, you watch, you're going to get Lokonga on loan from us, because Lokonga was like Anderlecht's captain under Kompany, and Kompany when he left rated him really highly. So I could clearly see something happening. The fact that we're buying midfielders as well shows that they might have a plan to put him out on loan.
And why not? Why not? The kid.
And why not? Yeah.
Yeah, the kid's got skills. He's got skills. But he's a young. Yeah, like he's a young guy in the Premiership.
He needs playing time.
Of course he does. And look at Balogun. You look at Balogun and the way that he's actually been playing right now, playing with freedom, scoring goals, the whole piece. So from that, Rich, going back to what you're saying is that the young kids, and I'm all for bringing that level of talent in. But you're absolutely right. Seasoned, professional, Premiership-ready striker, Premiership-ready midfielder, attacking midfielder with creativity and goals in him as well. Like, mate, I'll put my hands up. So, Rich, I know you're the question master on here, mate, is what do we... Yeah, I know, mate, but what do we do with Eddie?
Well, I mean, it looks like Eddie is being offered this big contract. It looks like he's going to sign it. And look, he's going to be given the number 14 shirt as well. So it looks as though Eddie is very, very much in Arteta's plans for the new season. Now, if our two striking options or our main two strikers are Jesus and Eddie Nketiah, I would be slightly concerned about. Well, more than slightly concerned. I'd be very concerned. Extremely concerned. Now, Shane's put a comment in the chat there. Ivan Toney says, want Ivan Toney. I think we badly need a target man. He mentions Conor Gallagher. Luca also mentions Conor Gallagher as well. Chelsea aren't going to sell Conor Gallagher.
Chelsea
To be honest, as much as I agree, Conor Gallagher's a fantastic player and we'd be brilliant at midfield. Chelsea aren't going to sell him to us. No. Absolutely no chance whatsoever. So I think we can forget that. And Ivan Toney's an interesting one. I do feel that we need an option, a plan B option as up front as well, because we do put a lot of crosses into the box and we don't tend to have anybody who's got on the end of them. And Jesus, is that really his game? Probably not. He's not that sort of a striker, is he? He's very similar striker to Eddie Nketiah.
What about Samaka, though? The Italian guy we put a bid in for? Is it Samaka or whatever his name is?
I know it's only one game. I've only saw him that one game when he played against England. He was terrible, I thought. And I'm thinking, is this a player that's going to what we need as I think there's better players of a similar sort of style that we could get that might cost a bit more money.
I would take him over Calvert-Lewin. I'd take him over Calvert.
Yes, really?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would.
See, I think Calvert-Lewin is perfect because one, he's a very physical player. He's very good at holding the ball up. He's great in the air. He scores a lot of one-touch goals, so he doesn't take 50 touches in the penalty area like some players do. He just gets a shot away. And I actually think he would be a good. I'm not saying he should be the first choice striker. We should play him every week. I think he'd be a good option so that we can mix things up. I know Arteta doesn't like to mix things up because he's very settled in the way he wants to play. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin doesn't really fit Arteta's profile of a striker, does he? Jesus does 100%. And Eddie Nketiah probably does to a certain degree. He's not quite as good. But Dominic Calvert-Lewin is a totally different type of player. And I think that Italian guy, Samaka, is very similar in style as well. And I don't think that's really what Arteta wants, even as a plan B, because Arteta doesn't have a plan B, does he? He's got a plan A and he's got plan A part 2. He hasn't got a plan B, has he? Plan A part 2 is the same as plan A, just with slightly worse players, generally. He brings Pepe on to play exactly the same position as somebody just took off, such as Saka, for example, and we get worse. So that seems to be the problem. And I think Calvert-Lewin or somebody like that would be a great plan B. But I don't think we're going to go down that route, unfortunately. And I don't know who if we do buy two strikers, are we going to look to buy 2 strikers now? If Eddie's getting this big contract, if Eddie's getting a number 14 shirt, that suggests to me that Arteta is thinking about having Eddie and potentially Jesus as our 2 main strikers next season. And I don't think that's enough for what we need. I don't think that's necessarily the biggest. I mean, we had Lacazette and Eddie last season. Yes, Jesus will score more goals than Lacazette, I'm sure. But we need more than that, I think, if we're going to really start competing to get into that top 4 again, which is where we need to be. With what the other teams are doing and what they're going to do, some of the teams around us they're going to buy some big strikers, and if we don't, I can see that could be. It's where we've lacked goals, haven't we? And Eddie and Jesus doesn't fill me with confidence that that's enough for the whole season with the Europa League and everything else. So that would concern me. Jesus will be a great signing, but not if he's the only striker we buy and Eddie takes his. I mean, why wouldn't Eddie take that contract if he's offered $100,000 a week, the number 14 shirt, more guarantees of more games next season? He's going to sign, isn't he? Of course he is. Why wouldn't he? He'd be mad not to, wouldn't he? And
also from a cost perspective for us, it makes sense.
Yeah, of course it does. Sell on value.
You're not spending 40 million on somebody, and then I kind of get what you're saying. The one thing I would say on it though, Rich, is that our goal scoring capabilities for our midfield is frightening in comparison to the rest of the Premiership. I'm sorry, with the exception of probably Liverpool and Man City. But what we score from our midfield, you look at Smith Rowe, you look at Saka, you look at Odegaard, and again, Xhaka, I think it has been pivotal, like towards the end of the season to get us to where we are. So I kind of think that Arteta probably sitting there looking at it and thinking Jesus is going to knock goals in, for us. Eddie's going to do the same, but our midfield is going to be that heavy area we go in. But we've got to give Saka a break that sits on it, and also from an ALN perspective. I just think I agree with you, Rich. I agree with you, but I just think we need like another Giroud, like some big unit that we can rely on, whether it's Calvert-Lewin or whoever. I kind of feel that who's going to want to sit on the bench, mate? Who's going to want to sit on the bench in the Premier League?
No, but you see, this is the point, isn't it? I don't think we shouldn't be. I don't agree with all this squad player luck, right? We should buy players that are going to want to play in the first team, expect to play in the first team, and battle for those places. Yes, you can only play 11 players in any one. You can only start with 11 players, but you need to have another 11 players who are just as good or almost as good, who can come in when they need to. And that's where we've. And I don't know. I get the feeling that Arteta wants a smaller squad, so he can keep everybody happier. Where when you've got a bigger squad, players, you know, I don't think he struggled, didn't he, with a few players that wasn't happy before, and I think that maybe he wants a slightly smaller squad of the type of players that he knows he can get the best from, and maybe that's the way he wants to go. But you know, I don't want us to buy players who just are for the squad. I want them players to think and believe that they can be playing in the first team on a regular basis. And that's what they should be looking at doing. Shouldn't every single player, 23, 24 players, whatever you've got in your squad, they should all of them players should think to themselves, I should be playing in that first team every week.
Sure.
And that's what, you know, and whoever comes in, for me, needs. I don't want to say, oh, well, we need to sign squad players. No, we need to sign players who can potentially be in the first team on a regular basis and perform and be good enough to be in the team on a regular basis. Yes,
I want to see anger. I want to see anger on that pitch. I want to see someone getting pissed off because he's being dragged off. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah. You're absolutely right. But it's the blend. It's like, when do we, you know, when we play like we play Newcastle again, and you know, we go in and we play Newcastle that are going to be horrible. Like, it's, you know, the atmosphere is going to be, you know, intense. I have to say, oh my God, that stadium is just out of this world. I want someone that wants to get in and get into a fight with someone. You know, I want to see, you know, kicking Gameres from one end of the bloody pitch to the other. And I want to,
exactly.
You know,
no, you're right. Exactly.
Proud of the badge. Sorry, other way around.
We're not going to get that, are we, with all these young players? I don't think. Not really.
No, right.
We did have one, didn't we, with rather decent hair, who's just got Player of the Year in France, who's probably going to be leaving.
Don't start with that village idiot. Seriously, don't start me off on that, because I will fight you on fucking Guendouzi. Like, honestly, that kid came with an attitude, right? Go and check it out. Go and check. He has a track record of attitude, right? You know, he has one or two decent games for France, and that's it. He's out the door. No, I'm sorry, mate. That guy was not ready. It was not right for us. Was not right for our team. I've got no time for that bloke. End of story.
No, I'm not saying he necessarily was right for us. I think that he had that sort of attitude that I think we're lacking. The attitude that he'll fight for everything. You know, every time when he played, every time there was a little bit of, you know, fisticuffs on the pitch, if you like, he was the first one there. He was, and he's done the same when he's been in France. He's got that kind of attitude, which I kind of quite like in a player. You know, I think we've become a team that's too nice, and nice guys don't win very much generally in life. And I think that we need more players with Guendouzi's attitude on the pitch.
I'm thinking more the spine of Vieira, though. You know, that sort of, you know, that niggle, but just with the skill to it. Mate, is one for you, Rich. Also, what do you reckon about this sort of Jared Bowen that we're going after?
We won't get him. No.
I don't see it. Why would we do it? I don't understand.
I don't think he would fit in our team. I like him. I think he's a good player. But I don't think he fits in with, you know, where do you put him? For me, I don't know. Yeah.
He basically plays in the same position that Saka's playing, the same position that this Vieira we've just signed playing. Yeah. It seems like we can't just overload on the right-hand side of our front three, can we, with loads and loads of players and have nobody else anywhere else? I mean, I do like Jared Bowen. I think he's had a great season at West Ham. I thought he was very, very poor for England the other night. Yeah. They all were, to be fair. But he was exceptionally poor, wasn't he? Let's be honest. He was probably our worst player, unfortunately. I felt a bit sorry for him. It just wasn't his night. And I do like him. But, yeah, he's not for us. I don't think he's got anywhere he'd fit into our team, and I don't think there's any even interest there with us. It'd be madness if we spent money on a player like that we don't need. I don't know. I think Mark C's put a point about Declan Rice. If you want to go on a bigger midfield engine, we need Declan Rice. It might cost 100 million, but he's proven quite well. No, I mean Declan Rice is fantastic. He's a fantastic player. I love him. That would transform our midfield, because he's a sort of player that we don't have. I think we've got players.
Who just sacrifice for him?
Well, we wouldn't really need to sacrifice anybody, would we? Again, he's another player to come in. You know, if you've got Partey and Declan Rice, they're your two options, right? If one of them gets injured, you don't care, because you've got another one to come in. And you could play them both together in certain away games when, you know, going Liverpool away, Man City away, when you need to be strong in midfield, Arteta won't do it because he's not flexible enough. But you've got that option where you could put those two in, and that would give you more of an opportunity to get results in these tough away games where generally we've been rolled over. Certainly last season we were, and we've had a habit of doing that. So I would be, I wouldn't mind. Yes, we just said we don't want to buy Jared Bowen because we've got 3 or 4 players in that position. Do we need 3 or 4 players in the midfield position? Well, I think in midfield you do kind of have to rotate a little bit more.
Yeah.
With the number of games that you've got, it's a lot of load on a midfield player.
Well, it's the engine that drives the whole team.
And Partey's had a terrible injury record since he's been with us. So, to me, he's not going to play more than half a season anyway. So we need somebody else who can come in. That's, we saw how much we missed him in the last 2-3 months of the season when he was out. We didn't have anybody apart from El Neni to come in, and we don't want to be left with just El Neni again as our option when Partey might well be missing.
But Rich, do you not feel that like someone like Tielemans would actually be could actually take that role up as well?
Yeah, potentially he could do. I'm not necessarily sure if that's his main strength though, is it? And it'd be maybe taking something away from what he can bring in the attacking third. But yeah, potentially he could fill that role, I suppose. Xhaka could fill that role as well. Yeah. He has done, So I suppose, with those two we've got options, but. I don't know. We'll have to see exactly where the squad is when the season starts. But I'm a little bit concerned that we do need a little bit more in there. And James has said there, are you only signing Bowen if Saka is going to Liverpool and Man City? Yeah, I probably agree with that. That would probably be the only reason why we would buy him as a replacement for Saka. Not that that's going to happen, of course.
Please don't say that. Please, James, stop.
Well, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. We know it's not going to happen. Russ says Jesus can play on the right anyway. Yeah, he can play pretty much anywhere along that front three. Jesus, he would be a big option. We haven't got him yet, though, do we? So we need to just be sort of ready for that. James says we need a more expansive and progressive centre midfielder. We don't need Declan Rice. Well, yeah, but see, that's what Tielemans would be, wouldn't he? And then Declan Rice could come in as well. I mean, you can't get too many good players in midfield, I don't think. You can pack your midfield out. But I don't think Arteta would be flexible enough to use them in the right way. He would stick to his rigid formation, his rigid style. And I don't think he's going to buy players as a second option, as a different option for different tactics, because he's not going to play a different way. We are going to play this Manchester City, Pep Guardiola, Barcelona type of football, and that's it. And he's going to buy players that are going to fit into that mould, and that's it. I don't think we're going to buy. We're not going to have all these different options. We're not going to have a big centre forward because that's not how he wants to play. We're not going to have 2 holding midfield players who are like first team regulars because he won't play 2 of them together. He'll play one, and he'll play this slightly odd shaped midfield with the 2 slightly further ahead, Partey further back, and bit imbalanced. I feel it's imbalanced, but it obviously works at Man City. But they're got slightly better players, haven't they? But yeah, Russ says if we get Tielemans, I can't see Vieira starting at too many games.
Disagree.
I think Vieira's more going to be giving cover for Saka, isn't he? He's going to be replacing Saka, maybe starting in the Europa League instead of Saka and that kind of stuff. So I think that Tielemans is going to mean Xhaka doesn't play as much. I would imagine that will probably, if we get him, I think that's what's going to happen there. And Xhaka will probably be the Europa League player or the Carabao Cup player or the FA Cup player, whatever it is. And I think that's how I don't think it'll affect Vieira's opportunities. I'm hoping it won't because I want to see Vieira playing in a few games, see what he's like, first of all. Yeah. But we haven't got Tielemans yet, no, have we? So we can't really, it's all a little bit up in the air at the minute. But another player that's been mentioned, I kind of want to get your views on Zinchenko. I mean, Adam, there's been sort of talk about Zinchenko coming, another Man City player, of course, that Pep knows, that Arteta knows. What would you make of Zinchenko? Do you think he'd be a good option? Quite versatile, left-footed.
He's versatile, yeah. I mean, but from what I understand, Zinchenko wants to play in midfield, where he plays for Ukraine. And I did see the Ukraine-Scotland game the other week, and he was brilliant. He really was. He played sort of left-hand side of centre midfield, where we haven't seen him play against Scotland. Yeah, and he was really good.
Though, let's be honest.
It was against Scotland. You only got to play against teams you got in front of you, but he was very good in midfield. But I don't see where he would fit in with us. Like for me, I just don't see it. I mean, he seems a good character. Obviously, he's a Premier League winner. He's established now in the Premier League, but I don't really see him becoming. He's not a first team. I don't see where he kind of fits in. Like we're not buying him as a left back. He's not going to get in front of Tierney unless Tierney's injured. and he doesn't get in the centre midfielder if you sign Tielemans or if you've got Partey or even Xhaka. I wouldn't put him in ahead of Xhaka, so I don't quite see where he would fit in our system. It's a bit of a non-starter for me. I think that it's possibly too easy to get linked with Man City players because of Arteta's relationship with Man City. I generally think that that's why certain things like that happen.
Sometimes I think we might be better off if Arteta just goes back to Man City, quite honestly.
Yeah. But we're obviously looking at a left-sided defender. That's Aaron Hickey. And the guy from Ajax as well was been linked today, Lisandro Martinez, the Argentinian guy. And I think that makes sense because he can play centre-back as well as left-back. So
I'm right.
It's obviously, and we're looking at obviously someone who can get cover in those positions, and it is cover. Tierney's going to be the first choice left-back. We know the centre-back pairing, could be Gabriel and White or, Saliba or whoever that's going to be. So we are obviously looking for cover in that, but would you really spend 30-35 million on cover? So I can't really see where that's fitting. Whereas the Aaron Hickey one, a lot cheaper, that makes more sense for me as cover. Someone who's going to cost maybe 12-15 million, maybe, and we'll play in the cup games, we'll play in the Europa League, and we'll cover for when Tierney and Tomiyasu get injured, which will happen because they both will. Zinchenko going back to the original, I just can't see it. I just don't really. It doesn't make sense for me. It really doesn't.
No, I mean the only time it kind of makes sense to me when you think about it is obviously the left back situation, and we saw Xhaka played left back in one or two games. We saw what a disaster that was, and with Zinchenko, he can play in the Xhaka position in midfield, but he also would be better at left back if he was needed, much better than Xhaka would be at left back. So I think that I can see them being useful for that, but would we spend that much money on a player that's going to be a backup in two positions when, as you said, we can get cheaper players that can be a backup left back and stuff like that. So, it's maybe not necessarily one that would necessarily work, but I could see how he could be a useful player to have because of his versatility. I mean, Steve, you seem to be sort of shaking your head with Zinchenko. Is he not for you?
But no, it's not. He's not for me. Great player, absolutely as a utility player, is absolutely brilliant. It's not what we need. I think Aaron Hickey actually makes sense. He'll play left or right back. There's a couple of comments around Torreira and Maitland-Niles. Maitland-Niles has made his bed. Sorry, the police are coming for me. They found me finally. But I just think when you look at Maitland-Niles and Torreira doesn't want to be here. Like, I'd like to see him have a chance, but he doesn't want to be here. Maitland-Niles, sorry for everything about him. He had his chance. He had his opportunity. He had his chance. He wanted to be in midfield. He's not good enough. He's just not good enough to back it up. So those guys will go. But I think Aaron Hickey would be a cheaper alternative that gives us the capability to buy the strikers that we're looking at to buy, in other areas. But we all know that from a Tierney perspective, there is a reason they called him biscuit hips at Celtic, mate. Because he's prone to injury. So having a left back that come in, and Tavares has proved he's not a left back. He has the capability going forward. He's absolutely amazing. Actually, left midfield. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, as a winger coming in, no problems at all. Kid's got an engine on him, but he's just not a defender. End of story. So someone like Hickey would actually fit well. And if you look at that Ukraine-Scotland game, I think he played really well. The time that he had on the ball, played well. Zinchenko for me, I like him. Don't see where he fits. I'm with Adam on that.
Yeah, no, I do kind of agree. I can just because of his versatility, really, and he could fill in two positions.
He's definitely a good player. I think Zinchenko's definitely a good player. I'm not saying I think he is a good player, and he would definitely improve the squad. I just don't really, like we said, I just don't really see where he fits.
Yeah.
No, you're probably right, and I honestly think we will sign him anyway. He's just one of the players that's been bandied about, and as you say, maybe the Man City links. We do seem to be linked with a lot of Man City players for one reason or another, don't we? Because Arteta knows them, and they would fit into the system, I suppose. But I don't want us to buy a load of Man City rejects, if I'm honest, although one or two wouldn't be too bad. If they want to give us Kevin De Bruyne out, they're more than welcome to do that.
I'd make space for him.
I'll take Gundogan. I'll take Gundogan.
Yeah, Gundogan we could probably have. I wouldn't mind a goalkeeper either, actually. He'd be all right. There's a few, isn't there, really? But they're not going to give us them, are they? Pep's not going to give us his best players, is he? Let's be honest. We we'll end up with a lot of players that can't get a game there, maybe. But I mean, I suppose it's not only the transfer window is not just about bringing players in. We do need to bring a lot of players in, as we know, in terms of squad depth. But it's going to be already Lacazette's gone, as we know, and it's looking as though there could be 4 or 5 other players may well be leaving as well for one reason or another. Contracts ended, they've been out on loan. So maybe we need to have a little look at some of them as well. Unfortunately, I didn't get the opportunity to put together a little link video for this bit, but anyway, I didn't get a chance to do it. But one of the players, obviously, we did speak about before was Reece Nelson. Looks like he probably is going to be going. He might go back to Feyenoord. Possibly he had a decent sort of loan there, didn't he? Maybe. Hector Bellerin's another one. He wants to be away. He wants to go to Betis. He had a good season at Betis. But there's an issue with the money side at Betis. He had to drop his wage to go there on loan. They can't afford to pay him what Arsenal were paying him. They can't really afford the transfer fee. I mean, Adam, what? Obviously, Bellerin wants to go, so he should go. But if a deal can't be done with them, what's going to happen with Hector Bellerin, do you think?
Am I right in thinking I read somewhere that the crowd are trying to do crowdfunding? Betis fans are doing crowdfunding to get Bellerin. I think they obviously want him there. I thought because that's his team, isn't it? That was a team supposedly supporting. Yeah. So I think the crowd want to get him back and have started a crowdfunding page to try and actually get him across. So. Yeah, I think I like Bellerin. I do think, from a player's perspective, I do think his ability dwindled a lot over the past few seasons. But as a guy, I think he seems top class. He does seem a really nice guy. He seems genuine, and I wish him all the best. But I don't see a way back in from Arsenal. And maybe 7 years ago, we could have probably sold him to Barcelona for about 50 million. Now, we'll probably be lucky if we can get 5, to be quite honest. And he's on high wages because he is on high wages. So. For me, it might be a case of, take what we can get, let him go where he wants to go, wish him well, because he has been a decent servant for us. He's never caused problems. He's always been fully committed to Arsenal, and I think, he's one of the players who could leave in the right way. So I hope that, I would wish him all the best because I think he's a genuine guy. I just don't see a way back from Arsenal. I don't see him playing again.
No, I don't think he'll stay at Arsenal. I mean, it's just a shame if the Betis thing can't happen, because I think that'd be a good fit for him. Like you said, it's his club. He had a great season there, and it would be a shame if that can't happen for him, really, which would be unfortunate. I mean, obviously we mentioned Guendouzi. What are we thinking about Torreira then, Steve? Because Torreira obviously is still contracted to us. The Italian deal seems to have fallen through. I mean, what do we do with him? Do we send him back out on loan? Do we try and sell him?
First off, I want everybody in Twitter to just absolutely batter Fiorentina for being absolute arseholes. That's number one, everybody. No, I again, another player who I just I look at him and I think, actually, he could do a job for us. He could do a job for us. He doesn't want to be here, and Arteta doesn't want him. So we're going to have to sell him. And there are a few clubs in for him, from what I can tell. And it's the same with Bellerin. You look at Bellerin, there's never been any negativity. He's always been behind Arsenal. He loves Arsenal. He loves what we do. He loves where we are. And Torreira is the same. He's like, I don't think he got a chance. I genuinely don't think he got a chance to actually prove it. And I liked him. I absolutely liked him. I liked the way he played.
He didn't get a chance under this manager. He got plenty of chances under Emery and did pretty well. Yeah,
I thought so. And I think he could do a job for us, but he doesn't want to be here. So everything I've read, everything I've seen, all the Twitter feeds, a whole lot from him, he doesn't want to be here. He wants to be in Italy. So fair dues to the guy. Let's get what we can. Let's kind of move him on, get his wages off the bill. But it's the same with Bellerin. We've got to give that guy a way out. That's not to say we should lose money. Look at Pepe when he goes. But for me, Torreira, I like him. I think he could do a job. Our manager's not gonna keep him, so he's got to move on. And the same with Bellerin, and that kind of helps. And Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Reece Nelson, I think is a mistake. I think we should keep him. But again, there are others coming through. So you got 4 or 5 straight there that are going to be out the door. Tavares. There's apparently I can't remember who it was.
Atalanta want him.
Yeah, so there's a couple of companies there's a couple of teams that want to come in for him. He cost us nothing. Well, I say nothing. I mean, Jesus Christ, if someone gave me 5 million, then I'd be, it'd be happy days. But I think for Tavares, he's not going to get another chance. He's not going to get, and he's not going to put like Emil Smith Rowe out the team or Martinelli or anybody else. So shame on it. Shame, but move him on.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that has to happen. I mean, it just seems strange, isn't it? As Adam said, a few years ago we could have got decent money for Bellerin. Now we're going to get hardly nothing. Guendouzi, we're going to lose money on, despite the fact he's just won Player of the Year in France. Torreira, we're probably not going to get a lot for him. It's like terrible business that Arsenal have done in the transfer market over the last few years, haven't we? To be in this situation now where, we've got potentially an opportunity to sell 4 or 5 players to bring in some big funds to help fund the new signings, and we can't do that because the players aren't worth no money and they're not worth the money anymore. For whatever reason. Pepe, another example, we're going to lose millions.
In fairness, wasn't it? What's his name? Spanish guy, Riolas or whatever his name is. He was the one that actually broke.
Raul Sanilli.
No, it wasn't Sonilli. Yeah, it was Sonilli that did actually a lot of these deals. So and he was as bent as they come. So there's no two ways about it. The reason he was kicked out of the business, he was so far into the agent's pockets. So that I can't really put that on Edu. No, I can't put that in Edu. But again, moving forward, you're absolutely right. Moving forward, we've got to stop this bullshit of players leaving for free or the contract's running down. My worry right now is Saka and getting him to sign up to a new contract. And if he wants to put a clause in it, great, put a 250 million clause in there. You want to you genuinely, if Man City want him or Liverpool want him, put a 250 million clause. Go put your money where your mouth is. You want to buy him, go and buy him, because no player's bigger than Arsenal. They're not bigger than the fans or anything else. I love him to bits. Don't get me wrong. I love that kid to bits. We've watched him. But honestly, if his agent's saying, oh, yeah, we want a release clause, so 250 million, go and do that. And then they go from there. It's the same as Aston Villa with Grealish. And of course, he set the world alight, hasn't he?
Well, no, but I mean, ultimately, if we are going to lose some of our better young players, then we've got to make sure that we're not going to repeat these mistakes that we're currently dealing with now, and we can't get the money from. And I would put any limit on the transfer fee for Saka. Would he agree to a limit that's a bit unrealistic? Probably not, because he will want to know that there's assurances that if he wants to leave at any point for whatever reason, he's not going to be priced out of the market. And I think that's important as well. But we need to make sure in future we don't make these same transfer mistakes again, because it's been ridiculous. The last few years have been a joke, really. We've become a joke, haven't we, with the players we've had to let go. I mean, to pay off players like Aubameyang, to play off players like Ozil, to get rid of them, to lose money on Pepe, we're going to lose millions, to lose money on players even like Guendouzi, losing money on him, Torreira. Bellerin we can't get much money for now. And these are all players that would have been worth, other clubs have sold lesser players than them and have bought a whole new team. Do you know what I mean? And we're scrapping around for a few million here and there for them.
But the question is, right? The question is, and obviously we've got a lot of people watching and stuff, and I'll be really interested to hear what they got to say. Is so if someone like Grealish is worth over 100 million to sit on the bench, right? And you've got players like Kane at 150 who've never won a trophy in their life, right? They want 150 million from. What's someone like Saka worth? In his prime, seriously, in his prime, right? Young player, absolutely flying in the England team, whatever it is. What's he worth? Do you think 200 million would be too much? If someone like Kane at his age is 150 million, right, and Grealish is 100 million to sit on the bench. What is someone like Saka actually worth as a release clause?
How much was Haaland worth?
Well, Haaland was 60 million, wasn't it? It was 60 million. That was his buyout clause.
Well, there you go. He's Haaland worth 60 million. How's Saka worth 200 million? When you look at
he's on 500. He's on 500,000 a week, like 500k a week.
That's what I'm saying. See, the wages sometimes compensate for the transfer fee, don't they? And you could put a 200 million sort of price tag on Saka, for example. And I'm not saying he's not worth that. I don't know what he's worth. It's all to do with, I suppose, the marketplace at the time, isn't it? What someone's willing to pay for him. Yeah. If Man City offer us 200 million, then obviously we would sell. You'd be stupid not to.
The Cronkies would take it tomorrow. They'd like.
No, but I would agree with that. I think that would be the right decision. If you offer £200 million for any player, you've got to take it because you can buy 4 or 5 really good players with that money, and if you invest it properly, you can rebuild. Look what Liverpool did with Coutinho. You know what I mean? That's the sort of thing that we could look at. Now, I don't want Saka to go. Well, yeah, there he is, yeah, but look what he did for Liverpool, what they funded by selling him. You know, so I mean, I don't know what price. I mean, it's difficult to put a price tag on a player, isn't it? Because it is what someone else is willing to pay for him, I suppose, and that's I don't know. It's a difficult one, isn't it? I mean, I wouldn't want to sell him for any amount of money.
No,
it's priceless to us.
I'm just and I tell Rich, like, I love the kid. I want him to be at Arsenal for the rest of his career to the very end, but that ain't going to happen. But what I'm saying is realistically, what we've got to look at is, as a player, he wants a release clause in it. Okay, so 200 million, I think, is a fair price for him, because ultimately, say, Grealish is 100, you know, Kane is 150, you know, with all of his falling.
Yeah, but aren't they? I mean, aren't they? To be fair, in terms of age and experience, aren't they ahead of Saka? Both of those two players.
No,
a year ago, Grealish was ahead of Saka, wasn't he? A year ago, he was.
Disagree. They play in the same team. So they play in the England team together. They are classed as the best in England, right? There's 11 players that go on that pitch that's classed as the best players in England. End of story, right? And one of them is an Arsenal. Well, a couple of them are Arsenal players. Yeah. So you got Ramsdale, and whatever we think, and going back to, you got to beat what's in front of you. We got battered by Hungary, you know. So you know, the Ukraine Scotland thing goes there, but you know. The fact of the matter is when we look at the Premiership, the cost of the Premiership, what English players cost, and this is half of the problem that we've got, is if you're not, when you're trying to sell your players abroad, they just don't get the same wages, they don't get the same money. The Premiership is now at a level from a financial perspective where it's just miles ahead, with the exception of PSG. You know, with someone like PSG or Real Madrid, Barcelona is screwed. They're absolutely in there. But you look at like PSG, they've got money to burn. But and so we're seeing some stuff going in. But yeah, from my perspective, I'm sorry, Saka is an England international, right? That actually has the capability and actually plays more than Grealish, who was 100 million, right? And so end of story. So Grealish is on the bench. Saka always plays. End of story. So he is classed as one of the top 11 in the whole of the UK. End of story. There's no argument that sits behind it. So you want to buy him, pay the money.
No, I'm not sort of disagreeing with you. When you look at their career so far, and if you're comparing the prices, what they were valued at, obviously Grealish went for 100 million. Harry Kane's been valued at 150 million, right? When you look at both of their two careers in compared to, I mean, they're more experienced than Saka because he's still a young player, isn't he? And I'm not saying he's not better than him or worse than him. I think it's difficult because with Grealish, you can maybe compare him a little bit because they play a similar role, but I don't know. I think if you put a 200 million release clause, I don't think Saka and his agent would agree to that because it's too much. As a release clause. I mean, I think we had a comment here. Snowy put in there, he'd put a release clause at 300 million. Well, there's no point having a release clause at 300 million because nobody will pay it. So you might as well not have a release clause at all because no one's going to pay it, are they? It needs to be. I don't know. It's a difficult one, isn't it? I mean, what would you say, Alan, with that then? If this release clause for Saka, what do you think would be a realistic price to put on that?
I think that, like you said, that there's no way they're going to want that high. It's like Haaland. Haaland, when he negotiated his, he wanted a realistic one. He it wasn't that he wasn't confident, but he wanted a realistic one that was going to be met, which is why it was like 51 million in the end. I think that you won't get 200. I mean, I'd love to say 200, but I think realistically, like you said, 1 to 120. Realistically, I don't think it's out of the question. I think 1 to 120. I think you could maybe push it, but you got to go on who's a transfer at the moment. We also said about Harry Kane 150 million. That was last season. It wouldn't be 150 million now. If he was going to go now, you'd probably be around about the 100 mark. That's why I was kind of saying that was the price then. Probably not now. Another year down the line, another year older kind of thing. But arguably Kane's going to get more points for a club than Saka would. Do you know what I mean? Like, at the moment, Kane is that kind of natural goal scorer. I hate to say it, he is. So a natural goal scorer is worth more to a club.
More money, yeah.
So like Kane's going to go about 100 million over the age difference. I'd say the release clause has to be somewhere between 1 and 120.
Yeah, no, I think that would be more realistic. Yeah, just because of that fact. He's still a young player, Saka, isn't he? Let's be honest. He's not really achieved much in the game. He's been our best player, but let's be honest, that's not such a massive achievement in the last couple of years with how sort of poor we've been for a long
Don't get
spell.
wrong, I'm hoping that we a couple more years, and then he is going to be worth that.
Exactly. No, that's what I think. That's what. Yeah, that's.
I
hope he isn't because it means someone's going to buy him. But ultimately, we want him to play as that well that he is. I mean, he's that. Like I say, I wouldn't sell him for any amount of money because I don't want him to play for anybody else. But ultimately, when you look at the club as a business, if an offer comes in, a ridiculous offer, you'd be mad not to take it, wouldn't you? Let's be honest, for any player. Because one player to sell for that much money, you can rebuild your as long as you invest it properly, you can rebuild your team, can't you? And it's not like we don't need to. I mean, out Danny there said, would you sell Gabriel Margulies and buy Lisandro and Zinchenko out of the money? Well, depends how much we would get. I mean, I would hope that we'd get more for Gabriel just by 2 players, but I wouldn't really want to sell Gabriel particularly because unless we could get a replacement in that was equally as good, then why sell the player you've got in the first place? Doesn't make sense, does it? So I'm not in favour of selling players necessarily, better players. I want to keep them and build around them. But if a stupid offer comes in, you've got to look at it, haven't you? You've got to look at it realistically and say, what could we do with this money? Arsenal don't appear to have a lot of similar budgets to some of the other bigger clubs. If something comes in, we'd be silly to turn it down, wouldn't we? I'm certainly silly not to at least consider it seriously and look at the possible options, I suppose. Stephen says, if we're losing any of our talented youngsters, we want good money for them. Yeah, exactly. Enough is enough. We've had our pants pulled down more time than I care. No, well, we have exactly. 100% we have. And this is what we were just talking about before. Some of the terrible transfer dealings that we've done in recent years. It's been ridiculous. James says, that depends on the fee. Yeah, exactly. It does depend on the fee. That's the whole point, isn't it? You only would sell your best players if the fee is what you would want. James has said they're 51 million for Haaland due to the clause. Yeah, we mentioned that before. And Agana says that Saka has a lot of development left in him yet. By the time he reaches, no, exactly, he does. If in the next 5 years he develops in the way that we potentially can see that he will, he's going to be, he'll be worth. Who knows what he'll be worth in 5 years' time, 4 or 5 years' time? You don't know. We don't know what the market's going to be like, but we'll have to see how that all goes, really. But yeah, it's about the market, I suppose. James says there, Saka is 120 million pound clause. Anything more is unrealistic based on how he plays currently. No, I think, that's basically what Adam said. I kind of agree with that. I think you can. Russ says there, Kane has the ability to win games by himself. Saka not so much. Yeah, but then Saka doesn't play in. I know you could say that about Kane, but Kane's got Son around him. He's got really good players around him, whereas Saka's been carrying us on his own, hasn't he, for the last 2 seasons?
Yeah, disagree with that one. Disagree with that.
You disagree with that?
I disagree that Saka, Kane has the ability to actually go out and win the game, but he's got Son around him and he's got like an amazing midfield. But I think Saka actually brings a hell of a lot more from the creativity perspective and brings goals with him. So I understand the part that Kane is a striker and Saka isn't, but actually to turn around and say that Kane can win games is in comparison to Saka, I disagree. I think Saka brings something like a dimension. When you see Saka and Smith Rowe together, right? They're just they're in the same level. I believe, as an Arsenal fan, I believe they're on the same par as Son and Kane. And look at Emil Smith Rowe's goal.
I love Saka and Smith Rowe, right? As much as anybody does, but to say that they're better than Kane and Son at this moment in time, I think that's
what I'm saying is the dynamic between them, right? Is the dynamics between the two of them, and I think I don't believe it's not fair. It's not right to actually turn. What I'm turning around and saying is that if Harry Kane is worth 150 million, I think a young talent that's capable of actually getting into the England 11 without even worry about it is worth more. I'm sorry, Kane is now getting to the end of his career. What I'm turning around and saying is creativity between our midfield. Right, this is what we've been talking all along. Right, if we were to have, God forbid, Harry Kane in our team, right, actually you'd see a better player. You'd actually see more goals. You'd see a better player because of the creativity that we have, and that's what Saka does. He's not a striker, but what they do is they score goals. So I don't agree with you when you turn around and say that Kane actually wins matches for you. If he did, yeah, England would be doing a lot better than they are right now. I'm sorry, but that's my opinion.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I just feel as though the amount of goals that Harry Kane has scored, yes, he hasn't won any trophies, and we do love the fact that that's been the case. But
always.
Yeah, the sheer number of goals that he scored in his career at Tottenham, those numbers are really, really impressive numbers, aren't they?
Yeah.
Consistently well every single season, playing in a team that, let's face it, is Tottenham. They're not Liverpool, they're not Manchester City, they're Tottenham, and he's still scoring regularly decent number of goals. And his partnership with Son, certainly over the last couple of years, has been the only reason why Tottenham have been anywhere near where they've been in the league. They wouldn't be anywhere near that level without the partnership those two have had. And yes, Saka's carried us in the last 2 seasons 100%. He definitely has. But I don't know. I think at the moment he's 21 years old, Saka, and
as a kid,
it's not. I don't know. I think in 3 or 4 years' time, if he develops, then the sky's the limit in terms of what he's worth. At this moment in time, I think Harry Kane is worth more than Bukayo Saka, as at this moment in time. Maybe not in a year or two, because Harry Kane, as you said, he's maybe reaching his peak and maybe going the other way. He's 29, is he nearly?
I don't feel that way, and that's purely because he's at the peak of his career right now. And the question is to sort of turn around and say, do I think Son is better than Saka? Absolutely. So at this moment in time in their career and where they are from a career perspective to a development perspective, absolutely, I do think Son is better. But I just think that Harry Kane is now at a point where he's going to start to wane from a performance perspective.
Well, quite possibly. I mean, he wasn't quite as good this last season just gone as he had been the season before and the season before that. So who knows? But maybe he just needs a new challenge somewhere else.
And let's face it, if we had Son and Kane at Arsenal, we'd be in a different level. But what I'm saying
but you're talking about that. We did have Lacazette and Aubameyang, and I think Lacazette and Aubameyang were one of the best partnerships that we could have had, and we got ruined. It completely got ruined. So if we had Kane and Son, you can guarantee under this manager, neither of them will be scoring more than 10 goals a season, because he would batter the goals out of them like he did with the other two that we had. But anyway, that's a different story. But James says, Steve, you had too much wine.
I want more wine. I need more wine. That's it. But that's what I love. That's what I love about the banter. Yeah,
I think you need more wine. Mark C says, what sum transfer fee do you think we'll get Jesus for? Haven't they rejected a 50 million? Was it 50 million we've bid and been rejected, or was it not as much as that?
I think they're still going back in with 50 million. I think we bid 40 or something. Was it 40? Was it?
Says they're 42.5 for Jesus, same as we paid for the Messiah Meza. I mean, I think maybe we might need to spend more than that, unfortunately, to get Jesus. I think. Even though he's got a year left of his contract, do we want to spend that? I don't know.
They want the money. They want the money back that they spent on Haaland. They want 50 million.
Yeah, I think they will. They'll try and get it. But with 1 year left on his contract, is he worth 50 million? I don't know. That's the question, isn't it? So I don't know. Russell's got a question for you, Steve. He says, Steve, do you think Son is better than Saka? There you go. That's a slightly different.
I've said that. No, absolutely. I think Son is better than Saka, 100%. But they're at different phases in their career.
Yeah, no, of course they are. They're different type of players as well. Let's be honest. Son's basically a striker, whereas Saka is more of a wide player, isn't he? James says there, we offered 45. They said no. We've gone back with 50. I knew 50 million had been mentioned. I mean, I think 50 million for a player with 1 year left on a contract is a lot, really, when we could get him for free next year. But obviously that won't happen because he'll go somewhere this year, won't he? If we want him, we're going to have to pay. Russ says there, 30 million bid for Gabriel rejected.
Nice one.
We should bid 30 million plus £1. Yeah, that worked well, didn't it? Last time we tried that. We've got a comment there from Nerdscape, says Lisandro Martinez incoming, apparently, says Ornstein. You see, this is a weird thing, right? All those sort of big names that always come out with a transfer, Ornstein's one, Charles Watts. All of these have been talking about Jesus and Tielemans and all that, and yet nobody mentioned Vieira. None of them big names in the know mentioned Vieira. So the fact that they're talking about Martinez, to me, is like, well, is that really going to happen? I don't know. I mean, if it did, then great. But I'm not quite sure if it will. James says they know we're desperate, so they'll get away with it. Well, yeah, that's true. I agree. And we are. I mean, are we desperate for Jesus? We're desperate for strikers. Are we necessarily desperate for him? If for me, we put an offer that we think is a reasonable offer. If they reject it, we look elsewhere. There's plenty of players that we can go for, I think.
The question is does it matter? Yeah, if it's 50 million or whatever, if that guy's going to get you, whatever, however many goals, it's enough to get us in the top four.
But what you got to think of though, Steve, and I agree to a certain extent, but the more we spend on Jesus, the less we've got to spend on other players in other positions, which we do need as well. And I think we need to look at that as well. For a year left on his contract, that's what we've got to think of. It's not like he's got 3 or 4 years left. 50 million would be a decent price probably. But with 1 year left, I think it's a lot to ask. And, I don't know, we'll see what happens. Nurscape says there he's only 5'9". Yeah, but that's the sort of striker that Arteta likes, isn't it? So I don't think that's really an issue for him. Mark says there, I only ever believe we've bought someone till I see him in our shirt. No, I agree. I 100% agree with that. I only tend to know that for a fact. And Nurscape says, I like the lad Jonathan David. Yeah, Jonathan David looks a decent player. But again, is he the profile that Arteta wants as a striker? I'm not sure if he is. James says we're desperate for Jesus. We've done the same as Vlahovic. All the eggs are in one basket. If they cock this up now, the backlash will be unreal. Yeah, it does seem to be the case. We do seem to have thrown everything at Jesus, and that doesn't make it easier when you're trying to bid for a player, does it? Because, like you said, Man City will look at that and think, well, we'll just offer also 100 million. There you go. If you want him, pay 100 million, and that's ridiculous, isn't it? So I think we need to have some sort of realistic price tag on him. Mark says there, summer paper talk is ridiculous. 100% is, and the stuff on Twitter and stuff's ridiculous as well, isn't it? When it comes to the transfer window, you get what happens is right. What makes me laugh on Twitter, right, is you'll have somebody say like, for example, David Ornstein or somebody like that will tweet out that Arsenal are potentially interested in some player that no one's ever heard of, and then suddenly 25,000 kids on Twitter will be oh, Arsenal are going to sign this player. I know they're going to sign him. It's like, no, you don't. You've just seen what someone else has tweeted and you're just copying it. So don't pretend you know we're going to sign him, because you don't. But anyway, Russ says Dominic Calvert-Lewin. We spoke about him before. I agree. I would like to try and get him. But again, he's not an Arteta sort of striker, is he? Mark C says that we get linked to 250,000 players every summer. Yeah, we do. And we end up buying 4 or 5 of them. Sometimes not even the ones that we think. And Nurscape says that we paid 3 million for the Brazilian kid when we could have got him for free. What, that new one that we've just signed? Could we have got him for free? Could we?
I couldn't have. No, there was. I know he had a year left in his contract, but he had a pre-contract with Wolves, didn't he? Which didn't mean shit actually from a legal perspective. But there were a few others actually in for him. So he had a year left on his contract. The same as Jesus is my understanding on that one.
Oh, okay. I like stories like this that James is telling us there. He says personal terms and wages have been agreed with Jesus. It's just a £50 million fee to be accepted now. He says Jesus followed Edu on Instagram today and a barber who cuts all the Arsenal players. Well, there you go then. It's the deal.
Who's the barber? Who's the barber? Because if these two players are crap, I'm going to get Adam a haircut with him.
I mean, Adam, that's the sort of stuff that
I need some hair first.
Adam, that's the sort of stuff that you'll be looking at in that new show, isn't it? Exactly. The stuff that goes out on Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that.
So that is exactly what I'm going to be looking at. So we're going to do the Arsenal social. I'm literally going to be looking through everything to do with Arsenal social, looking at the meltdowns that basically happen on a daily basis, looking at the good stuff as well, though, looking at things like hairdressers and whatever else comes up. Yeah, looking forward to it.
That's going to be great. And that's the sort of that comment there from James is kind of definitely going to fit in with that show. We'll be having a lot of that kind of stuff, I'm sure. So we'll see. But no, I mean, to be honest with you, the whole transfer window does do your head in after a while, and it's all a load of faff, really, isn't it? And ultimately, it's got to be done because you need to have a transfer window, I suppose. But I don't know. And James says, "Don't talk to me about barbers." Well, obviously, James has got a fear of barbers, hasn't he? With all his fantastic hair that he's got, which we're not jealous about at all. But anyway,
no, mate.
No, Steve's all right. Steve's all right.
I came it all forward, Rich. Seriously, it's all came forward, mate. It's trust me on that one.
Just get a hat. That's the easiest way, really. Yeah,
Arsenal hat. Arsenal. It's too bloody hot. It's 35 degrees here in Basingstoke. Come on, like behave.
Yeah, at the moment, or maybe a baseball cap then. Just to keep the sun off your head. Not that I haven't seen any sun for a bloody month, so I'm living up here. But anyway,
quick question actually for Adam, mate. We've got the FIFA team sorted out. What's happening?
Not yet. I'm going to enrol my son in that. Though. I'm going to get him to sort that one out.
So all of those, all those listeners, if you've got a FIFA team, like bring it out to any Tottenham ones. We're going to take them on. We're going to do the FIFA. I've got someone to help you. I've got someone on the background for that as well. Sorry, Rick.
No, that sounds good. Russ says it's too late for regain. It's much too late for that, mate. That sailed a long time ago. Don't you worry about that.
Not feeling any love from Russ right now.
No. But yeah, no, we don't really need to worry. I just wear hats and that just sorts me out. I'm not that bothered really.
All good.
I've got used to it now. At the end of the day, you get a little bit upset when you're 25, but when you get a bit older, it don't seem to matter anymore, does it? So I just get a hat and that's it really. But maybe what you need to do, Adam, maybe for that show is look into this barber, get this tweets at this barber.
I might have to try and get him on the show.
Let's go live. Let's go live from there. Go live from the barbers. Let's do that. Yeah. Come on.
That would be good, wouldn't it?
Who said about the barbers? Who was it one that said about the barbers, mate?
James, yeah. Send his details across, James.
Yeah. I love you, Russ. Russ, I love you, mate. Come on.
Poor old Russ. No, everyone loves Russ. Come on, they do. Let's be honest. But yes, I mean, basically, then as things stand, then I would say pretty much. The only other thing I wanted to mention is two things. First of all, Bernd Leno, because we've got this Matt Turner from America. I think Bernd Leno is going to be off, isn't he? And right. I personally think it's a mistake. He should be number one for me. But anyway, that's another story. It looks as though he'll be off. Matt Turner's going to be.
We've also got the old Runnerson guy. He's still knocking about. He was on loan.
Well, yeah, but
I mean, I think you can loosely call him a goalkeeper.
Who's the defender that sounds like a 4x4? Ranger, or his name is it Ranger?
The other American. The other American we signed. Yeah,
Trusty, wasn't it? Trusty.
That's it.
Trusty. Yeah, that's it. He sounded
Ranger Trusty.
He does. Yeah, he does sound like a 4x4 from Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, I don't know how much he's going to play, but it looks like Matt Turner is going to be our number 2 goalkeeper next season. So it looks like Bernd Leno is going to be off, and good luck to him. Looks like he might be going to Fulham. So fair play to him. I think he's a decent goalkeeper still, really good goalkeeper. So I'd be ashamed to see him go. And of course the other one,
Trusty.
Trusty. Yeah, one name that is
Trusty.
Yeah. I'm not sure how much he's going to play, if I'm honest. But anyway, and of course the other big one, a name that's been talking about, social media. Probably our most famous player on social media who's never played a game for us. It may well be coming back, William Saliba. What do we think is going to be in store for him this season? Is he going to be in our squad? Is he going to leave? It seems as though Guendouzi's trying to hijack a move to get him to go to Marseille. I mean, Adam, what do you think? Do you think Saliba's going to actually play this season now?
I think he'll be with us this season. Yeah, I've been listening to the season now where he'll be within the squad. Whether he'll start at the season, probably not, but I think he'll be embedded in through Europa League, the cup games, and like that kind of way. But I do think he's definitely going to be there. I think he'll be probably, obviously we've got people like Pablo Mari as well. I think if we can sell Pablo Mari, then I think he'll go. I think we'll probably retain Holding and Saliba as our backups. That's what I would kind of see. And I think Saliba has got to be pushing for a starting berth, And I think, he has to be. I mean, from what I've seen of him, I saw a bit of the French League last year, and whenever I saw him play, he looked solid. But we do know the Premier League is a different ballgame, compared to France. As Nicolas Pepe will tell you that. So let's see how he gets on. But I want to see him integrated. Like, he looks good. So I actually, want to see how he can perform. So I'm looking forward to him actually. Like old George Graham used to say that Kevin Campbell every year. It's like a new signing, So looking forward to that.
Well, it is a new signing because he's never played a game, so he technically will be, won't he? James
I do love the fact with Saliba. Like, there's so many people out there who are Saliba experts who obviously have been religiously following him in France. They've seen every single kick that he's done in France. So, going by what they've said, he's like Baresi and Maldini in one.
I mean, maybe he will be. Maybe that's what it'll be. James says he won't miss biscuit hands, Leno. Well, I will. I think that's a mistake to sell him. But anyway, Mark says, has anyone actually seen Saliba play? He did play that one game for Arsenal, I remember. Was it a friendly, wasn't it, during a COVID situation?
Yeah.
He played in the first half. For that game, he played pretty well. But other than that, I've seen some clips of him obviously playing in France. But no, I haven't seen him play really. And I know probably as much about him as I know about this Vieira we've just signed, actually. I probably know about it from just watching clips of him. That's about it, really. Nurscape says they're surely better than White. Well, we'll have to see. Potentially, he could be. And Mark C says they're not just one game. Yeah, that's the one game. That's the only game I've seen Saliba play. So I don't know what to really expect with him, other than he looked quite good in that game in a friendly against MK Dons or somebody. Russ says last time we kept a clean sheet, Leno was in goal. He was indeed, yeah. Last time we kept a clean sheet against Aston Villa, it was the only game Leno played after August in the Premier League, wasn't it? And he played well that day. So anyway, I mean, Steve, what do you reckon about Saliba then? I mean, do you know? Have you watched him play? Have you seen him play more than once?
I have. I've seen him play a couple of games actually. So I think it's time for the bullshit to stop. I think actually the break away from has done him the world of good. And again, the French league is still good, but we're talking about the Premiership, and it's week on week now. So for me, I think he's going to be an exciting player. I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to push Ben White in there, and I think he's absolutely going to be. I think he's been really good for us. But again, the whole PR bullshit has to stop. All the Twitter and Marseille this and Marseille that. You are an Arsenal player. We pay you your money. Get your ass back here and actually play the game. So stop talking about it. Get on and actually do it. Is my view, and actually give everybody, all whether it's Ben White or whoever it happens to be. I think he's got a place in this team. I think he's good. I think that the time away has been really good for him. But the Premiership is like, well, I watched him against what's his name, Mbappe, and he absolutely gave Mbappe his arse on a play. Absolutely brilliant. Played really, really well. But he's also had some shock horror games as well. So, but the Premiership was actually going to find that out. And I think for that young kid to come back, be part of this team, be part of us, and be loved by us as Arsenal fans as well, because we all love him. Right? I just think he's going to flourish. I think he's going to do really, really well. It's just what we need. It's absolutely just what we need. So
I just think that the hype that there's been over him, I don't get it, because I've not really seen enough of him. And to me, he's a player. Yes, he's our player. We've had him for 2 or 3 years already, and he's not played yet. And I want to see him play for Arsenal, and I'll support him. But other than I don't know anything more than that. I want to just see him play, let him see how he gets on in the Premier League, and go from there. And if he plays well, fantastic. If he doesn't, if he's not quite up to that level, then fair enough.
I'm going to be radical, Rich. I'm going to be really radical. I'm turn around and say he reminds me of Sol Campbell. It's like watching Sol Campbell without the injuries. Seriously, that's how good this kid's going to be. Right.
But then you did say Saka's better than Harry Kane, so we'll take that with a pinch of salt, maybe.
No. What I said is that Saka's at a different point and worth more than Harry Kane, because he plays for fucking Tottenham.
I know what you said.
So anybody who plays for Tottenham, that's instantly 50 million off, straight off, whatever. And whatever. Exactly. Because I love Son to a point, just to a point. Right? But no, I think genuinely, I think Saliba is going to be a real asset to this team. He just needs to actually make his mind up with the Premiership.
Let's hope so. I mean, Nurscape says that you think you got young player of the year. I think he might have done, didn't he? I think Guendouzi got player of the year, and he got young player of the year or something, which is mad. Joe was talking about Leno again. He said Custard Creamans did well in the Villa game, to be fair, but he's not a top 4 goalkeeper. Get rid. Well, I think he's a top 4 goalkeeper personally. He's better than Lloris for a starter. And Nurscape says they would love Oback. Yeah, I mean, he's a great goalkeeper as well. But obviously, we've got Matt Turner now, and we've got Aaron Ramsdale, so we're not going to sign another goalkeeper, are we? We've got them 2 goalkeepers for next season, and that's what we've got. So, I mean, I did want to talk about, obviously, the fixtures were out yesterday as well. And I know it seems pointless, because you play 38 games, you play 19 teams home and away. Sky end up messing about with all the fixtures anyway, and it's almost a bit pointless. But I actually kind of quite like the start that we've got. We only play one top 6 team in the first 8 games, which is Man United away, and that's all the way to October. So we've actually got the opportunity, I think, on paper, to make a pretty good start if we're prepared for the season. With the transfer, we've got everybody in early, we get a good pre-season, we're ready to go. We've got some. It could have been a lot worse the first sort of 10 games or so, couldn't it? 8 or 9 games. So, Crystal Palace away first game is going to be tough. We know what they did to us last season, but other than that, after that, we've got some good winnable games, I think, on paper. I mean, Adam, what did you make of the fixtures then? I mean, I know it's 38 games at home and away as usual, but it's not bad start, is it, on paper?
No.
Could have been worse.
It could have been a lot worse to start. I mean, Palace away, I don't like. I've got to be honest with that. Friday night, it's like got Brentford written all over it like last season, isn't it? I mean, I don't like the look of that one at all. But beyond that, I think the next 4 after that are very winnable. I mean, from that first 5 games, I'd be targeting at least 12 points. That would be what I would be targeting if we want to get off to a serious start. Obviously, a lot will depend on various things, injuries, whatever, at the start. But, they are very winnable games because then after that, you got, United, for instance. And I think we've got I think there's 2 months, it's October and April, that look absolutely horrible. I mean, I'm just looking at October, Spurs, Liverpool, Leeds, City, in a row. That's just horrendous. And I think in April as well, we've got a horrible run. Like you said, they can change it. April, Leeds, Liverpool, West Ham, Man City, Chelsea. It's just like, come on. That's like, be nice. But the running ain't too bad, though. I did look at the last 5. I think we've got Chelsea and Newcastle, and the last 3 games are kind of winnable. So it's quite they seem to be quite blocky. They're quite like easier runs, real tough, and then easing out. But again, that happened this season, and we lost these easier looking games. Yeah, so it means nothing, does it?
We had runs of wins, runs of defeats, didn't we, last season? And looking at the fixtures, that could happen again. I mean, to be fair, after that first game, we got 3 of the next 4 at home. So we've got a really good – Bournemouth's the away game, and they've just come up. So, I don't know. I agree. I think 12 points from those first 5 games minimum should be what we're looking at.
Yeah.
And if we get 5 or 6 points from them games, to me, that's going to be warning signs straight away because it's a good start. It's a good run of fixtures at the beginning of the season. I mean, Steve, what have you made of that? I mean, I know the fixtures are what they are, but they're not a bad set of fixtures, are they, to begin with?
Palace difficult. We've got Leicester at home. Got a really good track record against them. Bournemouth, Fulham, so Fulham, Villa, and then United. And again, United are going through that whole process of rebuilding. Yeah. So I'm hoping we just go in and absolutely batter them again. It's only because I've got a lot of Man United fans that I work with. And after that, we got Everton, Brentford. The one for me, is going to be, October. We got like Tottenham, Liverpool, Man City, because I'm looking at Leeds United and I think they're a busted flush. Southampton, which is always a hard one for us. I'm honest with you. And then look, we're towards the arse end of the season. It's the same old faces again. We're finishing up with Wolves. So actually, I agree. If we can get to a good fast start at the beginning of the season, get those wins in. Crystal Palace is going to be difficult, but then look at Crystal Palace towards the end of the season. They fell away. They absolutely fell away. So I know Vieira's going to be full of beans. They're all going to be running at it, but I just think we've got a really, really good chance of actually taking those first 5 games. I genuinely do, and even up to Man United, I think we've got a good chance of doing it. Rebuilding, new manager, we'll see. But I think the first few games, absolutely gonna, we have to start flat out. We cannot have the same start as we had last season.
No, we definitely can't. And obviously the fixtures are slightly more favourable this season than they were last season. I mean, Man City and Chelsea we had, didn't we, in games 2 and 3, which are always going to be tough. And obviously the first game last season, we knew what was coming, really, didn't we? But yeah, I mean, they've put the Palace game on a Friday again because obviously they hate us that much, Sky, that they want to see us. They want to see us get battered on the first game, don't they? That's what they're hoping for. So we need to go out and prove them wrong. That's what it's about, isn't it? And it's about that start for me. We've got a great opportunity. And I mean, if we was to win all 5 of them games, them first 5 games in August, if we won all of them, wow, I mean, that would put us in a really good position then. Confidence would grow, and that would then give us, the crowd would be going mad, and we could then really go, imagine being top of the league after 5 games. When was the last time we were top of the league ever in a season? I can't remember. Do you know what I mean? So if we start the season really well and we're top of the league after 5 games, that'll be it then. That's going to set us up probably for a fall, but it's going to set us up nicely for the season, isn't it? And we've got a great opportunity with those fixtures. But I know it's not always as simple as that, is it? You look at games on paper and think, oh, yeah, we should win that. And then when it comes down to it, it's not always works like that. But when I saw the fixtures, I was actually quite happy with those. Probably the first 10 games aren't too bad when you look at it, really, are they? Let's be honest. And even in October, when we've got Tottenham, Liverpool, Man City, we've got them all at home. So, that's not the worst run of games, is it? Yes, we've got them all away later on, like Liverpool, Man City away in April.
Tottenham is not the problem. We know that's not the problem. it's Liverpool, Man City.
Well, yeah, Liverpool, Man City are a problem, but at home, I know last year and the year before they won at the Emirates both times, but I don't know. We gave Man City a decent game at home last
mate, we were
season.
robbed. Don't start me.
Yeah,
You know,
we weren't robbed. Yeah,
you know how I feel. Like New Year's Day, I was steaming. I had a steaming hangover, and yes, James, I did have a lot of wine that evening before. But we were absolutely robbed on there, and that is the best I've ever seen this team ever play. Like if we could do that for the first 5 games, I think from a fan's perspective, we'd be on such a high.
Yeah, we would. Yeah. Oh, it'd be massive. Yeah, that's what I mean. And those fixtures have given us an opportunity to really start the season strongly, because we haven't started the season well for a long, long time, have we?
Correct.
For various reasons, we've not been prepared. We've not made all our signings and all kinds of other stuff. And this season, we've got. I think looking at those fixtures, certainly, if everyone at the club looks at that and thinks, you know what, we've got a great opportunity to start this season on the front foot, and everybody will, like you said, the fans will go mad. If we're top of the league after 5 games, it'll just be insane. And you know, if we make these right signings that we've spoken about, if we get these over the line quite early, get the players in, we start the season well, everybody will be buzzing, and it could make a massive difference to how the season pans out. So yeah. James, gone back to Leno. He says, Rich, since Leno has been here, we've not got top 4. And he's always in the top 10 for individual errors. He's not a top 4. Well, you could say that we were in the top 4 with Ramsdale in goal, and due to the fact he let in 20 goals in the last 10 games, we didn't get top 4 because of him. So if you're going to blame one player for not reaching top 4, you could blame the goalkeeper that we've currently got for us not doing it last season, because he didn't make too many saves, did he, in the last 10 games that I can remember. You know, and when he played for England the other night, Ramsdale had 5 shots hungry and scored 4 goals. So he didn't make too many saves then either, did he? But anyway.
On a positive note, Rich, Tottenham have just signed Fraser Foster on a free. So, like,
well, there you go. It's all swings and roundabouts, isn't it? I suppose. But we've got Matt Turner as our backup goalkeeper. So I don't know what we're laughing at. We don't even know what he's like yet, do we?
Yeah, no. Come on, be positive, Rich. Be nice, Rich. Come on, be positive for the poor bloke.
No, I must admit, at this moment in time, I'm feeling slightly more positive because, one, there's been no games for a while, which has been good. We signed 2 players already in the first week, which is good, even though they're not quite what we need yet. But anyway, there are 2 signings that I'm quite excited about, and the fixture's looking quite good for us at the start of the season as well. So at the moment, I am feeling pretty positive. I don't know how long that will last. We'll wait and see. And if we get Tielemans and Jesus over the line in the next week, then I'll be really positive. And by next week, I'll be absolutely flying. So,
Aaron Hickey, Tielemans, and Jesus, and one other striker. One other striker. I would be over the moon.
I still think we need a Thomas Partey stunt double, if I'm honest, as well. But have we got the money to buy all these great players in one transfer window? I don't know. Probably not. That's exactly what.
Not unless we recoup the money for Pepe. We paid for him.
Well, no one's going to pay 10 million for Pepe.
No one's going to pay like a fraction of what we paid for him. Ridiculous.
No, absolutely no chance.
He'll go on loan. You know that it'll go on loan because no one's going to want to pay him. It'll go on loan somewhere, wind down the contract, and then that'll be it.
Yeah, maybe we'll see what happens. I mean, yeah, again, what we spoke about before, terrible piece of transfer business. Yeah. One of many that has happened over the last 5-10 years, really, or 5 years mainly. But yeah, terrible. James says there, Lokonga is party stunt double. He's being groomed into a number 6. Well, maybe. He didn't really fill him. It looks like El Neni actually is. You know, the fact that we've offered El Neni a new contract seems to suggest to me that El Neni is going to be Thomas Partey's stunt double, more so than Lokonga. I think Lokonga will be in the squad unless Adam's right, unless he buggers off to Burnley on loan. Maybe that's something we'll have to look out for. Can I just say, if that happens, if he does go to Burnley on loan, then Adam's getting the credit for that 100% because he's predicted it here tonight.
There you go.
So that'll be where that's
Tweet it out. Tweet it out, Adam. Go, just say it. That's
it. You should tweet it out because if that comes off, that'll be
I might just do that, just see how far I can get that reach and get all the Burnley fans excited.
That's your Jedi mind trick, isn't it? He's doing a Jedi mind trick on it, and
exactly.
just doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that'd be good. That'd be something that maybe come up in your show later on in the season.
Yeah. I'll start that rumour. See how far I can reach.
It's so easy to start rumours on Twitter, isn't it? You got 12-year-old kids in their bedroom start rumours on Twitter. And people believe them, don't they? People look retweeting and look, we're going to buy this player. No, we're not. Some 10-year-old kids
I get it all the time from my son. Arsenal are going to buy. No, they're not.
No.
Yeah,
They're not.
Yeah,
They're not. No.
Exactly. No. But anyway, we did buy Vieira. We've almost bought Vieira, which is a positive side. You can't get too many. I don't think in your lifetime you can see Arsenal sign too many Vieiras. I don't think it's possible. No. I think that's a great.
It's a good omen. The name is a good omen. Put it that way.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that it'll be another Vieira will be signing for Arsenal quite soon as well in a slightly higher position in the club than being a forward player. But anyway, let's see what happens. With that one, and James says there, watch Amari Hutchinson potentially go on loan to Burnley if he doesn't go Reading. I think he's likely to go on loan, isn't he, Hutchinson? I wrote something down about Hutchinson. Yeah, I think Hutchinson is likely to go on loan. I've got him to probably go out on loan. Patino as well potentially go out on loan maybe in the first half of the season. But again, it depends on who we buy because of the Europa League. We need some of these young players to play because Patino would be ideal for the Europa League, wouldn't he? Some of the others, Balogun maybe if he's not on loan again for the Europa League. He played last time, didn't he?
Balogun will go on loan for sure. And I watched Hutchinson at I watched him at the Bromley game on there. Still very raw. Great bit of talent there, absolutely.
Yeah, he's got talent. Yeah.
I think that'd be a great one. Either Burnley or Reading or whatever. That'd be up the road from me. I'm going to see him. But I think he's a great one. But seriously, it's a season or two. It was the same with Smith Rowe when he went to Huddersfield.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
All of a sudden,
the Championship.
Yeah,
the Championship is a good league to learn your trade, I think, because it's a tough league. It's a physical league, and it gets you prepared, doesn't it?
Beaten up and get into it. There's no prima donnas in there. There's no rolling around.
Mark says, who are we playing our first pre-season friendly? Are we going to? Is it the American Tour? Is that first?
Yeah. No, we're playing Nuremberg, aren't we? That's the first one. Got a game against Nuremberg. Let me have a look.
8th of July. That's the 8th of July. Yeah, Nuremberg. Then it's Orlando on the 21st.
Yeah.
Everton.
And then Chelsea, on 23rd, and then Emirates on 30th.
The Emirates Cup, yeah.
That's going to come round, isn't it? 8th of July. It's 3 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, less than 3 weeks. James says Patino is going to get more game time, especially with a 5 sub. Yeah, no, another thing. Yeah, we do need the bigger squad of players for the 5 sub, plus the Europa League as well. Obviously, we know some of these young players are going to get game time there, aren't they? Which is great to see. Hopefully, get a few more minutes on the pitch, which is nice, and help them to develop really, because that's what it's all about, isn't it? Ultimately, brilliant. Okay, well that was a good little discussion there. You know, we covered quite a lot considering it's only been 1 week of the transfer window. I enjoyed that actually. It's been a while since we've had a live show, so it was good to catch up with you guys again, and some good comments in the chat as well, which is nice. A few people watching as well, which is great as well. So thank you to everybody for watching. Obviously, thanks to Adam for your contributions tonight. Enjoy the show. Good to be back.
Thoroughly enjoyed that. Yeah, very much glad to be back talking about Arsenal. And yeah, I mean, like you said, it's only 1 week of the transfer window, so let's see where we're at in a couple of weeks' time. The exciting times, hopefully.
Let's hope so. Yeah, there's certainly some positive vibes going on with potential players that we might be signing, and obviously the ones that we have signed already. And Steve as well. Enjoy being back on the show.
Love being back on the show. And do you know what, Rich? I know we're saving this, but to all of those listening, watching, and commenting, thank you very much. But there are some very exciting things. Rich has been like a wizard in the background. So keep an eye. I can't wait for the new format that's coming, mate. And I've loved it. I've loved talking to the Arsenal fans. I love arguing with all of you. Haven't drunk enough wine, so I'm going to go and do that with a good lady in a minute. I will tweet out. But Rich, thank you so much for again letting me be part of this sort of amazing things, and for the good banter for everybody on here, mate. You know, that's what I love about this especially your bit, Rich, is that we all have a bit of we all have a bit. Yeah, we all get emotional, we all get into it, but honestly, the banter's really good. There's nothing negative in here. We're not, like others that sit within it. And I've missed it. I've genuinely missed it. I'm a lonely, sad old man living in Basingstoke. I miss my Arsenal and I miss all the fans. And thank you for having me on, mate. Really appreciate it.
No problem at all. I mean, I'm quite excited about the new stuff we've got coming up on the channel. Actually, you guys are going to be taking over, doing your own stuff. Melvin as well. It's going to be really good, actually. So if you are new here, maybe you're not too sure what we're going to be doing. If you've watched some shows before, great because some of them are going to be the same as they were, but there's going to be some great new stuff as well. I know Adam's going to be doing a great show, Steve as well, and I say Melvin's got a nostalgia show we're doing. So yeah, there's loads of great stuff coming up for the new season. So please stick with us because it's going to be really, really good. Some new stuff, a FIFA team and all kinds of other stuff. So there's loads and loads and loads of stuff coming up. It's going to be really good. And a bit of Star Wars maybe as well, apparently. So we might even be doing.
There. I'm so there, Adam.
I'm already thinking that we need to kind of, if we were going to choose a Star Wars to play in Arsenal, who would it be? Like, what character would be what player? That's what I'm thinking 1 week.
Well,
maybe we'll put it out to the listeners.
All I'm going to put out straight away, the only one I'm going to say straight away is Nuno Tavares, who's Jar Jar Binks.
Wow. Wow.
That sounds like a good idea. Anyway, I'll leave you guys to talk about that. I'm not a big Star Wars. I'm not really into Star Wars too much. Nursegate says that thank you for catching next time. Yeah, I'll speak to you again, mate. So thanks for tuning in. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already. Mark says, good evening and to yourself, mate. Thanks for watching again. Steve as well. Fantastic show, legend. Thanks for watching. Nursegate says, I'm Obi-Wan Kenobi, apparently. There you go. James says, Chewbacca up front. So you started it now, haven't you? Look, Vader in goal.
There you go.
There we go. We've already started on it already, so that's going to be a good show.
R2D2 on the wings.
Yeah, not a centre forward though. He's a bit short, isn't he? So I don't know if he'll.
Well, he could be like Lacazette, couldn't he? Yeah, he's got the same sort of look. But Rich, thank you so much, mate. I've really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to more stuff. And guys, honestly, those that are listening, there's some insane stuff that Rich has put together for the new season. It's going to be absolutely brilliant. I can't wait.
Yeah, no, it is going to be good. I'm looking forward to it all. And of course, a lot of the shows I'll just be able to take place and just watching from the comfort of my own sitting room rather than having to prepare and be in the studio, which is quite nice. It'd be good to watch you guys crack on and do some great stuff. James says there, Vader would play for Liverpool. If you know, yes, very true. Brilliant show tonight. So thank all you guys for watching. Obviously, thanks to Adam and to Steve, of course, for joining me tonight, and everybody in the comments as well. There's not too much going on in terms of like live stuff right at this moment in time, but the Women's Euros does start actually on July the 6th. So I'm going to the first game, so there'll be a vlog for that. We're doing a lot of live shows with the guys from the Arsenal Women's Show. We'll be having live show every night, looking at the games. Looking at how the Arsenal women are doing. There'll be vlogs. We've got, I think, 12 or 13 different games between us we're going to. So there'll be vlogs of loads of different stuff throughout different games. I'm going to Netherlands against Sweden, for example, and someone's going to Iceland against Belgium. So there's loads of vlogs coming up, loads of live shows throughout the Euro. So if you enjoy the women's football and you'd like the cheering on the Lionesses, please join us for all of that. We're doing a 2 weeks tonight is the preview show. Which we'll be doing looking at ahead to the Euros. And I say once the tournament starts, every night there'll be a live show pretty much, unless I'm at a game. The other nights I'll be here looking at in between the two matches, doing previews, looking at the games that's coming up and how the Arsenal women are doing and stuff like that. So loads of great stuff. So please join us for that. If you haven't done so, please subscribe. Please give it a like as well if you've enjoyed this show tonight, because it's been good fun. We've all enjoyed it. Steven says there, later everyone, don't forget to hit likes. Yep, cheers, Steve. Thanks for your support as always, mate. We'll look forward to seeing you guys again soon. We might throw another show together maybe before the start of the season, do a couple of other bits as well, maybe. Obviously, if there's some good transfers coming, we'll have to talk about that, won't we? So I'm sure there'll be some more stuff as well. But if not, we'll be back in a couple of weeks for the live preview of the Women's Euros on the 1st of July. That's going to be good. And there'll be loads of other stuff coming up throughout the summer and, of course, into next season where there is some really, really great shows to come, which is going to be great. So I'm sure we're going to all enjoy ourselves next season. I'm sure we will. So I say thanks very much for watching. Thanks to Adam and to Steve and to all you guys. We will speak to you very, very soon. In the meantime, of course, as always, come on, you Gunners. Good transfer window.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Cheers.
Yeah.